Hello, it's Joe Glines, and in this video we're going to demonstrate logging into Amazon. So this series we are just demonstrating how to log into various pages because login pages and web pages are always different, and it's just better to have a lot of examples than to have a couple. So what I'm going to do here is I already have my script running down here, so you can see this little icon, and that allows me to hold down control and I can click and run bring up syntax that I want to do and then tweak it. But the other thing I need is my little WB2 learner tool, because I need to figure out how to fill out this page. So of course first you're going to go find the page you want to get to, and in this case, let me get back over here. In the previous video we talked about I want to first connect to the last active IE tab. Right, I'm going to build this one where I don't start up a new tab, a new version of IE. I'm just going to go grab the active one, and then I'm going to actually navigate to it too. So let me grab the URL here. So first here, I'm going to say pointer. I'm going to get pointer to IE window. Right, now that does two things here. It dumps in this function, which you can put anywhere in your script, and I'm going to add a bunch of returns so it's out of screen so we don't get lost in that. And here it calls the function. It calls this WB get function, and you notice here it's highlighted, right? That's that function, and it's going to pass. It calls it, but returns back the handle and stores it in this PWB variable for me. And so now, if I actually let's do this. Let's do message box PWB dot get location URL. If I save this, reload it. Oh, it wasn't running here. I'm gonna hit this diamond. Run it. So now that script is running. That's this one. And now when I hit my hotkey, it breaks. Get location URL. Get. Oh, sorry. There's no get. There we go. So that tells me the URL of what this pointer is pointing to, which happens to be what we just looked at. It's this one, right? I wanted to make sure I was connecting to that version, and it is, and it's an object because this dot notation works. So I'm going to cancel that out. But of course, the first thing I want to do is navigate, because navigating to the page and then logging in. Why would I do that? Why don't I navigate to this page first and then log in? So we're going to page navigation, navigate to page, and I think I have it on my clipboard. We're going to put that here. And also what I could do, here'd be a nice easy one, right, is we add some logic. If so now we're going to put this statement, let me move this up here, and I'm going to wrap this in parens just because I like having parens, and do this. So if the location is not this, right, then go ahead and navigate to it. And I'm doing that because I'm already on the page, right? And why would I want to navigate to the page I'm already on? And so here's a simple way to just add in some logic. And of course here, after you navigate, we need to make sure that it loads. So under page navigation here, wait for page to load. This will take care of waiting for that page to load. And so now if we do this, where'd my IE window go? That's weird. Alright, I'm going to save it, load it. When I run it, it doesn't actually do anything because we are on that page. However, if I was elsewhere, it should notice that. I'm going to run it there, and now it just jumped me back to that page. Because I have my cookies enabled, it's filling these in, right? So I'm going to delete that, and we're going to demonstrate how we populate these fields here, these entry forms. So now we're cooking here pretty quickly, right? We've connected with the version of IE that's running. We have navigated to it, or at least checked to see if we're not already on it, then navigate to it and wait. And so now we are going to see what we have to fill in here. So we're going to use this tool, right? And here we go. Oh, look, it has both the name and the ID. Let's go ahead and use name. Actually, ID is the one that I think is absolutely unique, and name typically is. Or class name is another great one. And down in here, I don't see a class listed, so let's not worry about that. But if it didn't have one of these two, class name, class is what would show up down here, and that's what I would use. But let's go ahead and use the ID. And in this tool, when you click here, it copies that item to your clipboard, right? I think down here too. So you don't have to actually highlight and copy it. It's just a habit of mine. So let's come back over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to say, oh, what do I want to do? I want to set an item on the page, and we're going to do the unique. There's no that underscore is actually fine, I believe. So we can do it this way, and the last one I clicked must have been there. Let's see if that works now. There we go, and sorry, my wire's not outro. So let's use this email address. Now I'm going to save this, reload it, and launch it. And there, bam, see that get thrown up in there? And now let's do the next one. Alright, so we're going to grab this one. Oh, this one has also, we can borrow, there's no dash in the name, so we can go ahead and use this. And I'm just going to be lazy and duplicate this line. And I'm going to swap out the ID that we had put in the other one and put it here. Now this is, I'm not going to enter my password. I don't feel like going and changing it all, but you'll see when I save this, reload it, and run it, you'll see it dumped it in there. You can't see the content, but trust me, that's what got filled in there. And of course, after we fill in those two fields, we're going to want to go ahead and click the button to say submit, right? And so here, we're going to sign in and see, oh good, look, it has an ID also. This is why the generally speaking, logging into pages are much easier than other pages, because they have clearly defined often names and IDs. So you know, we're going to copy this one again, and then we're going to change this one to that ID, but we're not trying to set the value, right? We're going to click it. So that's what here. Let me go back. Actually, we can. Well, you can see it here as a continue. You know what? And let's do that as a demonstration before I do this. I'm going to put that in the message box, right? So I save, reload it, and launch it. See how it says continue right here, right? That's because we basically said throw up a message box of what this thing is with the value, and I know that was that because here's value. If we change this to outer HTML, it'll show what's in here, right? This is the outer HTML, which is what wrapped the inner text. Well, this is a value. This one will change either it's value or inner text, and so you got to pay attention to that if you're trying to get the data from there. But we don't want to do either. We want to click it, right? And that's what these we're doing up here. We were setting the value, and here we are going to go back to clicking it. And with any luck, I'm going to reload the script, hide all this. You know, I'm not sure if I saved it. Saved, reload. And now I'm going to hit my hotkey. Oh. It looks like oh yeah, that was telling me. But it did submit it. Let me show you what I did there. I left this part in, right, which I don't want. I'm just clicking the value. I'm not extracting anything from the page. I'm just hitting click. But it actually submitted. I'm going to run this again, and you'll see it put in this, hit click. But because the this isn't even the email address I have with my Amazon account. It's saying, hey, you know what? You don't have a valid account. So I forgot to reload. Oh, apparently I forgot to save. You can tell. See this asterisk up here? That means I didn't save it. So now that I've saved it, reload it. Now when I do this, it's just going to put it here. I got rid of that message box. It's hitting sign in, but it actually returns back and says we don't know your account. And that's it. The 1 hour video I did with Hellbent talks a lot more about how you can choose. Do you want to use IDs? Do you want to use? Let's go ahead and change this to where one of these instead of using the and we'll change the first one. Right. Let's you know, and I'll just get rid of the whole line because I have my script writer. Let's go back into this tool, and we'll go ahead and use the name. So if this ID wasn't populated, we could have taken this name, right? And what we could do is come in here, and I'm going to say set on page and named array. So set named array. In here, we put that email because that is the name, right? That's this value here, and this is going to be the first name field on the page. Now, that's the thing is with names, it is possible you have more than one of them, but generally speaking, especially a login page, you're not going to have that. Or if you do, they actually named there's more than one spot to enter the email address. They might have it hidden up here or here, and it actually submits the same thing, so you don't have to worry about it. And here we're going to say, and let's get rid of that click because I don't want to keep submitting it. So now I'm going to save this, reload it, and run it. And notice here, it popped in this my new email. It popped it in there, right? But this way we were using the get elements by name. And remember, that's an array, so you do have to have this because it's telling you this is arrays, elements and things in web scraping stuff are 0 based. So when you want the first of something, you do 0. When you want the second, you do 1. Right? It's a little confusing, but not overall. Once you get used to it, it's just you got to remember that start off at 0 and work your way up. And lastly, let's do one more of, and see here under input where it's 13. We could do get elements by tag name, but you know what? The thing is that says 13, and let's see if we can just wing this. I forget if it's exactly get elements by tag name. That could be it, and we're going to change this to input. But you know what? We're going to first say I'm going to throw up a message box of the inner text of the first input field. So it has nothing, of course. Let's change it to outer HTML so we can see what's going on. So the first one has this input name, app token. It looks like that has to do with authentication type stuff. And it's hidden, right, which is why I think we're not seeing it on the page. That's the first one. Let's do the second one. Input name, signing in. We'll do the third one. Right, and so now we're trying to figure out where we are. What we also could do is we could do a loop, right? Let's see, I'm going to leave that as is, but I'm going to borrow this part, and I'm going to say loop. Oops, I don't have a hot string for loop. Loop %. Come on. Now let me show you this. So this length command, when I run this, it's going to say there are 18 elements on the page that have an input tag, right, in total. From this tool, it's saying this is the 13th one. And let's see now if I add in, let me duplicate that, add back in the brackets, and so it says it's the 13th, so I think I need the 12th, but let's see. Now we're going to look at that one. Oh, so that's hidden, maybe it is. That thing is accurate in that it's 0 based. Also, this, when I say that thing, I'm talking about this. So that they probably built this tool to say, have those be 0 based also. There we go. So see this outer HTML? This matches that, and I just went and grabbed it, and I was using this input tag, right? What I was going to demonstrate, though, was we can create a loop. So here I have, I'm writing a loop, and it's going to loop over, and this tells me, normally I would type in a number here, like I could type in 14. Well, actually, what was the total? I forget the total that there were, but that's the point. I don't need to know, right? I'm going to say loop it this many times, and then in here, because with AutoHotkey, as long as your loop is one line, you don't have to put in brackets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to be a index -1. Remember, there's 0 base, and the a index part is starts at 1, so you have to subtract 1 from it here. And what this is going to do, let me save it, reload it, and launch it. You know what? Before I do that, let me add in here a index -1 and a tab. There we go. So now when we're looking at this, it's going to iterate over it, and it's going to say, all right, the first one, which is the 0 element, is this outer HTML. Here's the second one. Here's the third one. Here's the fourth one. Here's the fifth one. Here's the sixth one. Woo! 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. And that's why this is so less reliable overall, because there are a lot of other things on this page that use an input field, right? And that if they add one more before it, that number, instead of being the 13th here, is what, which would be the 14th item, it would be the 15th, right? Or if they get rid of one before it, it shifts down. And so that's why I try not to use tag names. But what you can also do is, let's throw up here the this is showing you the hierarchy. And so see these things that have IDs up above it? The fact that, let's say this one did, let's say it does have an ID, right? We know it does, but what if it didn't? Well, this item here has an ID, and what we can do is navigate down to this ID, and then say, get me the first input field under this ID. And let me show you how. So I'm going to copy that ID. We can go ahead and comment out this and this. So I'm going to say, yeah, I don't type anything here. So get from page, let's see, do we want to get it? Or I know I want to set it, but for now I just want to get it. Get the ID with, no, they're all underscores. Get ID unique. We'll do with dashes just so you can see how it's the same type of format. We're going to pop that in here. Let's change this for now to outer HTML. And, oops. This is my site output function. What I can do is, so I just dumped, sorry if that was confusing, but I just dumped all of this into my site output function, which will dump it down here because it's a lot of text, right? And we don't need to see all this other stuff, so I'm going to save this, reload it, and run it. Unfortunately, it looks like I left up my, here's my message box down here. And we can comment that out. We don't need that either. But notice all of this text in here, right? This is the outer HTML. And notice down in here, so this will still match. Actually, I didn't use that, did I? Let me come back here and say, where was I? So I was here. Oh, that's right. I was over here. I'm going to use this element. And when I shift that, did I pick the right thing? Hold on. So I'm going to go, oh, it was this one. I want to use this element. When I do that, you'll see this updated, and see all the this outer HTML, that is what I just dumped into here, right? And in here, I can still look at it and just say, oh, look, here's the name, email, right? Here's the ID, right? But what we can do is we can combine the two things. So in this one, what I'm going to do, and you know what, let me make this a little easier to read. I'm going to pull this out of here and say, I'm going to store that value in var, and then I'm going to display that in my site output window. So all I did was just change it to where we're storing this outer HTML in this variable, and then we're pushing that variable here. That'll just be easier as we update the code. Because this next part is pretty cool. What you can do is we're gonna like nest it, is the way I think of it. So we're gonna drop down on the DOM. The DOM is the map for the web page, right? It's how you can navigate around different items. We're going to drop down to here first, and then from here we're going to say, get us the, we'll see how many input fields are under that, right? And actually, so I can borrow this. So we have it right here, right? Oh, and look at that, it's beautiful. So I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to put that there, and let's give that a whirl. So there's one input field under this ID, this outer HTML ID, right? I mean, that's what's in here. There's one input field, and that way, So what we can do is we can say, let's change this to 1. That we know there's 1, of course, so we need the 0. This is where it's important. Remember, it's 0. And let's say our HTML. Now when I run that, it's back to getting me, let's go back to the web page. See this input ID right here? We navigated to here, and then I said, okay, give me the first, which is 0, element of the tag names that have an input field, and we did the thing earlier to show there was only 1, right? And that way we're grabbing it, and this is how, if it didn't have an ID or a name, we could we can go up a little bit, up the DOM a little bit, grab something that does have an ID, and then use this, and instead of what was there, 18 input tags on the page, this allows us to be much more specific, and that way, even if they add something up in before, unless they add it under here, unless they add an input field under, under this one, this will still stay to be the first input tags under here, right? And that just makes it less likely to break. So I hope that was helpful, and we'll see you in the next one.